Episode number 58, the last podcast of the year of 2024. Let's drop that beat. Oh, it's about that time. Year's coming to an end.
It's closing time.
I was just gonna say
Closing
closing time.
Can
Man, it
we
feels
do we
weird.
get
The old classic.
copyrighted if we put that up?
No,
Depends how good the singing
under
is.
30 seconds for critique or commentary is fine.
Oh,
Closing.
background music right now.
Okay, we'll try. So, the year. Was what you had planned, what you thought? You're excited for 2025? How are we feeling?
Let's get a one-word response. Did the year go as planned or not as planned?
One word
Not-
response? Yes.
Yes. Okay. One word
Yes,
response.
it went as planned or not as planned.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. How do we do one word?
Not one word.
I have one word to answer that.
Wait. Planned or not as planned?
Okay.
Glenn.
Planned.
Organized guy.
I'm gonna go with door number 3. My word is LOL.
That's good enough for us.
Okay. Mine is planned, not as planned, and planned. Not as planned. Not as planned.
Well, it's always different parts of either the business or the year, depending what we're talking about, right?
Okay.
Physical
Definitely.
health or mental health or business wise or different aspects. There's a lot to come in,
All right.
into
So
play here.
should we departmentalize it? Let's break it down.
Sure.
Glenn. So let's talk business department.
Talk business.
Yeah. How
right.
was your year?
Okay, so it definitely went as planned as far as like the whatnot side went. That was my main goal, was like to be consistent throughout the whole year. Definitely did that. The eBay side, I feel like I could have done a little bit better, but I don't know. There's a lot there which I want to talk about as far as like my inventory and
But
why
don't you
it
think,
kind
like,
of works, kind of doesn't.
The eBay was kind of just like a extra, kind of just like the icing on the cake already, because you were making your whatnot cake already.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, but I feel like they're both really needed in their own way. I mean, I wouldn't want to ignore the eBay side because I feel like there's just more profitability per item there.
Right.
And just getting all of those eyeballs on your inventory.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on the whatnot side, it's like whoever's there, whoever's live, whoever's there watching. I mean, it's definitely consistent, but then I have to be consistent. That's the only way it's gonna work.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, on that
Yeah.
side. I think with eBay, let's say you didn't really list for a little bit, you can still get some ongoing sales depending
Right.
how good your product is and
Yeah,
stuff.
let's just say that someone did that.
Oh, so it sounds like you need an elf.
Yeah. We,
Or 10.
we already talked about how much we all need the elves.
Or a team.
100 elves. It was 100 elves.
Yeah, only
Then per
100.
department.
Yeah. It's like a
That's
very
good
serious-
then. So I guess this year was a W for business for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Besides the areas of improvement where eBay could have, been, but also this was the full year of you doing full whatnot. So
Yeah.
like as an outsider business consultant, I would say like, that would be trying to, what is that? Like, that's putting too much on your plate. To go at it one full year of consistency the first time, and then trying to add something else. But I think you did really good with the whatnot side. Seeing your activity there, earning all these new buyers. I think that's the cool part. That every time I
Yeah.
hop in, because before every time I pop in, everybody knows who I was because we were like, it was kind of like the same buyers that we had.
That's true.
Now I pop in, I was like, who's this guy?
Yeah, it was like a lot of first-time buyers, which I didn't really think that was gonna happen as much as
Right.
it did. I felt like the same thing. It was gonna be the same buyers over and over,
Yeah.
but a lot of new ones, which
Yeah,
I mean, that's good.
that's good. All right, so let's go around. Anna, how is the business side of the LOL?
Yeah.
experience.
Well, I was gonna say I would also consider this year a W, but W as in what is happening, more like that instead of like win. No, I think it has been a win, but man, it's been a crazy year. I was just thinking, I live in a different house.
Right.
This time last year, right? Lived in a different house. Even had a different pet. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so many things have changed. My inventory has changed a ton. Like, my whole entire space and setup and all my processes have somewhat changed. Like, lots and lots of change this year. But honestly, overall, I think that is a win. And if you look, if you like unfocus your eyes a little and blur your vision of what was the goal to sell things on the internet, I definitely did do that. So,
Right.
mission accomplished. But it really has been a year of change and a year of experiments. Even like I tried cross listing for months early, the first part of the year I was doing that experiment. Didn't go great for me, so I stopped. I tried live selling for a few months. That didn't go great for me, so I stopped because that's what you do when you collect data
Yeah.
on things.
Yeah.
You make decisions based on that data.
So I mean,
Yeah.
you've tried a lot. You've tested a
yeah.
lot of things. And I think in business, right, I think everybody's plan as a business will always be like be profitable, right? Like
of
the
course.
whole cliche. I want to be successful. I want to sell a lot. I want to make a lot of money. I don't even think that should be a goal, because that is the purpose of why you open a business. But when we talk about like goal setting or the W's, kind of like when Glenn said like I'm gonna be as consistent on going live.
Yeah.
That one is a step. That one is the how are you gonna make that happen?
Right.
And he
It's more
did.
like the objectives, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and then on
what
you,
are we gonna do?
on your side, like what I'm looking at it is like you have shifted a lot and pivoted a lot, but at the same time, I think the biggest W is like you've learned a lot, right?
For sure.
Because you wouldn't learn all that without having to do all the shuffling
Oh no.
that happened
I
this
mean,
year.
the only way to learn is to try it, right? And
Yeah.
so I was gonna say that, like, I think actually at this moment in the year, like the biggest, clearest wins I've had in terms of like trying things out and wanting to just improve, like towards that goal of success and profitability, right? But one of the best things that I've learned is just kind of about my own inventory. Like I've done all these experiments and tinkered with all these different things, and I've discovered a couple of ways that I'm like really changing how I source, how I think when I source, some of my criteria for sourcing. Like it's wildly different than when I started my business.
Which is supposed to be, right? Because you're supposed to evolve.
Right, for sure. And so that's been really good. Like I feel like I have a really clear plan for 2025 about that, and everything else is kind of going to flow from that. Especially now that I am, am settled in my new space again, have my processes figured out again. But, that's been really good. And honestly, the most surprising thing, which was a pleasant surprise, and it was the result I hoped for, but was that, in Q1 of this year, I also did a limited like retail arbitrage experiment, and that led to my most successful month of the year being in Q1 instead of Q4.
So we're rubbing our pixie dust on Anna.
Yeah,
then.
apparently so, which is really funny because honestly, I've always been like a clearance rack shopper. Like I've always as a person, yeah, right. Like my whole life. That's
so
like
you
a
know
fun
how
pastime
kind of like how it works already. There's
yeah.
a corner in each
and
store,
where the
right?
value is and stuff. But
Yeah.
as much as I love thrifting and I love vintage stuff, it's weirdly like a returning to some other roots that I already have.
Yeah.
To be looking for retail arbitrage opportunities. So that's been kind of cool. Like, and I'm not by any means getting away from the thrifting or the vintage stuff, but I'm kind of like limiting it to more cream of the crop, and the types of sources where I'm looking are a little bit different. So I'm spending a little bit less time on it, but I'm ending up with like better, more interesting things, which is cool too, because I've never really set out to be like a high volume seller.
Right.
Like I've always been like a list it and forget it type of person, type of seller. But now I do have like more specific ideas and goals with how I want my space to work. So I, by default, need to have like a little bit smaller of an inventory at any given time. Yeah. So I need stuff to move faster. I need to be pickier. Like these are things I've known for a while, but this year I really have made tons of strides to actually letting the current market of things and the current the current like way that I'm showing up to my business kind of dictate like, okay, what's going to be the plan going forward for like this setting that I now live in. So it's been really good. And to boot, there's been tons of other auxiliary activities, I would say, to running the business that are related to like eBay. Like Ken, we got to live host eBay Open, which was totally insane and so fun. Obviously the podcast has just been growing and building all year. That's been a ton of fun. And there's just been a lot of things like that that are, completely tied to the business that have also been growing like crazy this year. So that's been great.
There you go. There you go.
Kenny?
I hope you. I actually thought you guys would just forget about it. Let's talk about the next one.
Were you hoping?
Yeah, we're having. Only because I don't know. You guys be the judge. That I think this year I never really had a clear goal that I was gonna do. Is that true, Glenn? Did you guys feel that? Like I didn't like, I'm gonna set out for 6 figures or something like,
Yeah. No, I feel like it was definitely different than other years for sure. Yeah. And we talked about the planning and things like that. Yeah. So, no, I do agree on that. On that standpoint.
So that's kind of like the year. I think a lot of it had to do with like, really trying to figure out the marketing side of the brand. Like this year we've done way more travel for marketing and kind of like campaigns and stuff like that than ever. So that was cool. But also I just didn't really have a plan to kind of like write down like I need to do this.
Would you agree that was kind of based on just the market, like where things have been? Because it wasn't the same like just like rabid sourcing
yes
situation
and no,
and
because
stuff.
like when I look at the numbers, my Q1 was bonkers. We've injected a lot of new items in Q1, so we'd buy a lot in Q1, but that wasn't a plan, right? Like opportunity
that was a spontaneous
popped up, and you just did it. And I feel like when something happens like that, I am capable of taking advantage of that, right? So it's like, there's a big wave. I know there's my surfboard. I know how to get on the surfboard, ride it until the wave dies. Yeah. So, like I would say, like picture Hawaii, the Hustlebee's chilling under the coconut tree, just trying to like think what he's going to do for 2024. And then a huge wave pops up. And I was like, yo, let's get on that wave. So grabbed my surfboard, got in there. Wave disappears. I was like, go back to under the coconut tree. And I was like, okay. And then I guess I just sat there and looked for another wave.
Well, I mean, you had a lot of other stuff going on too. Like I was thinking, okay, about the time that wave disappeared, all of a sudden you're going to Washington, D.C. twice in 2 weeks for eBay stuff to go talk to Congress people. And like,
and then went to...
Yeah. It's been a lot of random stuff, but really interesting stuff. I'm curious, Ken, like, I know that in years past, like really before I even knew you, your business would like, I don't know if it doubled every year, but like grew rapidly,
right? Like
year over year. Mm-hmm. And at a certain point, it's like,
it's hard. You can't.
Can you even? Yeah, is it even possible to like double it in a year unless you're changing your business model, right? Mm-hmm. So like, you hit some limits of that at some point. But I just wonder if that is like part of why you didn't necessarily set a big numeric goal.
No, I think so too, because when I look at my basement, I look at the storage space, anything more would like cost me to rearrange stuff, build more shelves. Technically at that point probably have less of a free time, I guess. Let's just put it that way, right? We're a 2-person operation. Anything more than what we were doing, because like if you look at my numbers right now, is I'm 3% down from last year at this very moment. So it's not drastically lower, but it's not green. Like, I think the lowest I've ended a year was like 12% over. So it's like this year we never really boosted up, right?
Yeah.
But also that could change in the last 10 days.
Right.
It's so
it's
minuscule,
true. It's like,
right?
it's still crazy time at the moment.
So So I think that's kind of like I found a wave, right? Sat there, and then I was like, "Yo, like, let's do other activities, right? At the beach." That's kind of like somewhat how I see it. And then like within the last month, I found another wave. I was like, "Oh, there's another wave. Let's ride that wave." And then now, while riding the wave, I'm planning next year, and we're gonna talk about our plans next year on the next episode. So
That's right.
So that was it. So what's the next department we're gonna talk about, Glenn?
Oh, I thought we were talking about next year in this one too.
No, it'll be a next
This is
episode.
all 2024.
Yeah, but
Oh,
that was the
man.
business department, though. Business department.
Oh, business department.
So
That's true.
let's talk like.
Well, I'm not
health
done with the
department.
business thing. Hold on, real quick. One more.
Oh,
thing.
we're not done. Okay. Yeah.
Get back
That I
in there,
did
Glenn.
is-
Get back in
that
there.
I did notice on the eBay side though. I know I had like a Jersey plan of getting all these uploaded.
Yeah.
That was
You
one of the
wanted to
episodes.
1,000 listings, right? That
Yeah.
was like in June or something like that. We talked
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
The weirdest thing though is that not only was I getting the questions on, are these jerseys real,
yeah.
things like that.
Oh,
but I was
yeah.
also like getting questions after that, like, well, how do you have so many then? Because when you look at like a lot of the fake jersey
Oh, they just have everything.
listings,
They have
they
everything,
have
right?
deep quantities.
Yeah.
And so you would think, hey, well, which is true, like how can you get so many of, this, let's say $175 jersey NFL one, how do you have so many of them? But in reality,
Yeah.
I only had 2 listed at a time.
Yeah.
Even if I had a deep quantity, it wasn't that
You won't-
many.
Yeah.
But for
See,
them, that really made them question.
Yeah, the authenticity, because
Yeah.
it's how because like in a way you made it look easy to have them.
Yeah,
Right?
that's,
It's like like imagine walking to like a Nike outlet and there's just high end Jordans. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think this is Nike, right? Because there's like the assumption that eBay is like a small mom and pop kind of like online.
Yeah.
This is just a jersey bro, a vintage bro selling some jersey.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to change your name as Hustler Hacks. Because if they ask, I'm like, well, how do you just you just say I'm Hustler Hacks.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah, and then
Hustler
just
Hacks.
link
Come
them
on,
your YouTube channel,
Or
and
you could just
they're-
be like, how do you not
yeah.
oh, these are from
get
Roston.
it together?
Ah,
yeah,
these are
these are from Raw.
I'm not paying that.
No.
You're like, never
This
mind.
is-
I'll
this
be
is
going to
gonna be
Ross
this is gonna be a conversation about how can we rebrand ourselves to stay away from the. It's like, it's like, yeah, remember your Bike Air? Did you buy that Bike Air?
I
Or
did
was
buy
it-
those, yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you're trying to ask 220. I saw your video, got 59.
Speaking of rebranding ourselves, I've had to say or spell my business name so many times this year.
For tax exempt.
Well,
And
for
tax
so many-
exempt.
for lots of reasons, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about sick of it. So if anybody has a better name for my brand than Anesthetic Miscellany,
Yeah.
let me know. I would
Um,
love to hear your suggestions.
Anna, speaking of that, because JC saw one of the receipts and it had your LLC name,
yeah.
and JC's like, babe, they spelled it wrong. They spelled it wrong.
Oh, I'm sure they
And
spelled
I'm
it
like,
wrong.
And I'm like, are you surprised? I was like, because for
It's
some
like
reason,
19,000
for
letters
some
long.
reason, I think JC thought it was connected to somehow that you're not gonna get your
Oh, no.
points, your
I don't think it matters.
yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. That's like at this point, I'm just gonna probably have to rebrand as Ken LLC or Anna LLC or
Yeah.
something like that.
It's almost like a Madonna or like a Cher or like a...
Cher.
Like,
Listen, I
do
freaking
Purple
love Cher
Rain.
so much. She's such a boss.
just a single name. You just go
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Right.
So try that next
Yeah.
time.
I'll try
But-
Cher.
Okay. Try.
but no, that Glenn. So going back to the issue,
Okay.
how do we solve that?
That's for the 2025 episode.
Oh, they gotta listen
teaser.
to
Okay, great. I love
Okay,
this. You're
I like
bringing
that.
problems and solutions.
Yeah.
What a tease.
I know. It's good though. I feel the same way. Like all of this whole conversation is like one thing leads to the next, right? So there's
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
stuff about next year I also want to talk about, but I think it'll
And
be good to put it all in one place because
Exactly.
that's our plan, and then we can next year at the end of the year we can compare notes.
So one of the things I want to ask, like in our businesses, did you guys upgrade anything in your process, equipment, or like was there some major, because we want to share stuff that we've done this year that have kind of like changed our lives, quote unquote, to make it easier, that the listeners can be like, oh, I need to do that. Kind of just like me and Glenn's story about thermal label printer. Before I would hear Glenn tearing papers in the background. I was like, what are you doing, bro? He's like, and this time I still used sticker paper that you get at UPS for free.
Oh yeah.
And I would just cut the end.
That's hilarious.
It's beyond the, what do you call that? It's too old. They can't come after me. It's over 5
statute
years.
of limitations.
Yeah, statute.
I don't think it was a crime. It only applies to statutes. That's hilarious. It might be a crime. I don't know.
So like, what have we done? I can go ahead and start. One of the things that we did this year is we set up a dedicated shipping station that has its own like computer, because that way JC was going to her desk and then printing stuff there and bringing it to our shipping table. I was like, oh, that's kind of like a process, right?
Yeah.
So now we've set up. The cost was buy a mount and grab an old TV, hang it, grab the old monitor that was laying around that I didn't use. So it was pretty much mostly recycled. Besides the kind of like just the mini PC. The mini PC, I paid like $350 for it, and then stuck it behind there. And it's been running all the shipping. So anything shipping related is there. That was a game changer. That because all the settings are just for shipping. Like when you have a desktop that you use for paper printing, you have to switch things. You have settings and then all of the tools are hanging on a pegboard. Kind of like what Anna has now, because I kind of like, hey, this was a game changer.
Yeah.
And everything has its dedicated hook and slots. So that was the biggest thing that we've done this year. That kind of like, now it's a no-brainer. But everybody that sees it was like, whoa, like that's so cool. So I guess not everybody has done it yet. So that was my one piece. So who wants to go next?
Anna?
I'll go next. Mine is, I have two.
Go ahead.
Because the first one is the same as yours. I got a new laptop, praise the Lord, earlier this year. And so that means my old laptop got to become the shipping laptop. And same thing, I took like everything off of it except for what I need to like go to eBay, print my labels, and it's so streamlined. It's so nice. It's a little bit slow, like compared to my brand new laptop, but
it's not slow. Your new laptop is just way faster.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and after I took like everything else off of it, it wasn't really that slow anyway.
Yeah.
But it's super fast to use for that. And I also pretty recently got like a giant walk-in size photo booth.
You could fit a mannequin on it.
Yes, which is pretty awesome, and it really has been a game changer. I haven't even used it that much yet, and I love it. So that was something that I was like, oh man, like you can break it down, but it's like a pain. It's like a lot of pieces, if you always take it down and put it back up. But I was like, this is going to be so helpful, like even if it's just up for a while until I can make some more space for it in a different area in my store setup, like it's still going to be so worth it. And it has been, like, I've really liked it. It's motivated me to list stuff more in a way. And I think it's going to be really different in the new year. I'm going to have a much more streamlined process for listing too, or photos for listing.
Photos and listing. So those are two upgrades. How much was the thing, if you don't mind?
That's a great question. I think it was around $300, but I don't remember exactly.
It's a good investment, right? Because we're thinking investment pieces here.
Oh yeah,
I bought a
$350
PC, and you've got a booth that's $300.
Yeah.
Let's ask Glenn.
I think what I did for sure was buying like the shelving for my storage unit. That would help me with the
Nice.
hats. So I knew exactly like what hats I have, where they're located. That also helps too to see like what teams. It's because in the bins, even if they're the clear bins, there's kind of like
You still
layers
can't. Yeah.
in there because they're smaller pieces. And so now it's kind of like, hey, what these teams are doing well, let's make sure I push these out for this week, and then just so much easier to just get those.
How many
ready for the
racks you
whatnot
have in there
shows.
now?
So they're kind of like they go up to like five.
Five tiers. Yeah,
five
shelves.
tiers, and I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there's 12 total.
Oh man, you bought them
Yeah.
all at once and you assembled them
Yeah.
all at once? Bro, it
Yeah,
took you all day.
so it looks good. I mean, I like it. I just
Yeah.
need, I think, a little bit more, kind of like space though, because I still have a lot of shoes and those golf shoes and all of those. Those take up a lot more room than anything. But I think like a clear, clean hat setup would be cool for next year. And so I'm still kind of like organizing them the way that I want, but especially some of the deeper hats that I have like 20 plus of.
Yeah.
Those kind of take a little bit. So
You might have to like start taking a photo of them and print it. Kind of get a Polaroid camera, take a
Yeah.
photo, and then just slap them if you have so many. Cause like that's what we're doing now with like if I have like over 10 pairs, I just put them in a box of like kind of like those
Overflow.
like overflow, and then I just write the SKU on the box, and then I just leave like 10 out, and then the rest of the 20 pairs are just in the boxes. Cause like as much as I want them displayed, I was like, I don't want to stare about like. It's actually depressing to have like 30 or 50 of the same product, and like you're
It's
only
so
pulling one at a
many.
time. I was like, man, I want to sell more. So,
well, I think
That
what
would be-
helped me
restock your
too.
own shelves.
huh?
I think what helped, I guess, kind of organize it down the road too was like I was just kind of doing by team.
Yeah.
But then I was like, all right, well,
There's so many styles per team. Still,
yeah, there's
right?
styles too. So I was kind of going with like fitteds on one thing,
Mhm.
and then snapbacks on another thing, then by team, then by like cost of goods.
Yeah.
Because
that's
for
smart.
whatnot, yeah, like you do want the good ones, but you don't want
To have
all
too many of the
good
high.
ones.
Yeah.
Because
You need a mix. You gotta consider
yeah.
a mix.
That is
Exactly.
true. That is true, huh? I
Yeah.
like that. Like,
So you have to like, yeah.
It's like, cause if you think about it, if you work, cause like, in some way, if you're pushing a lot of volume, especially live selling, you're gonna have to average them out, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Like, what's the average cost per item in this show, and then what's the average sale at that point? That's kind of like how you see your margin.
Yeah.
And especially when you're moving like 100, 150, right? So you kind of probably would want to mix in like 50 of a higher cost product, higher
Yeah.
buy, and then 50 of the mid, and then 50 of the steals.
Yeah.
And that's I actually like that. I wish
Yeah.
I ran my whatnot show that way. Before. Before it was just like cross your fingers.
Willy nilly.
Cross your ring.
That's the quote that I said. Whatnot is a platform where you can make money fast and lose money fast.
Yeah. That's because I think people think that every single item needs to be highly profitable in order for you
Yeah.
to make money
Yeah.
in general. And it's not the case. Like, you have to be smart with, like, how many of certain items you're going to use or sell or, things like that. So,
You gotta have some
Um,
appetizer, right? Or some like teaser, like where it's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna rob this guy for this hat.
and it's
then
kind of
they-
funny because, like, even the lower end that you wouldn't think is kind of lower end,
And they would go.
yeah, they sell well. And you're like, oh, well, I wasn't
I
really
was
going to
like,
include
man,
that one. And then,
you're in your back of my head, just like, man, I need to mix in more of these then.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
maybe it's just more
exactly.
accessible
Yeah.
yeah.
at that point.
So,
Hmm.
wait, we're talking about business stuff still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I was kind of skipping around.
No,
I
no,
have,
no.
like-
that
I
was
have a
business moves
question.
still. Yeah.
What is if there's one that's clear and distinct, what is the one thing that you are not going to do next year that's going to make your business more successful?
Ooh.
Not do that we did this year, and it's not going. It's staying in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going further.
Right.
That's a good question.
That is a real good question.
For everybody that's
Man.
listening,
Tell us
take a
yours.
deep breath right now and Ponder.
I know.
What? This
Yeah,
guy's quick
I know what
thinker.
I need
This
to.
guy's
I
a
know what
quick
I need to
thinker.
leave. Which I tried it, right? Like I tried some of like the higher end, not even super higher end, but just not cost of goods were higher on
Okay.
certain items, and I had shows on them and everything. And I think one of them that you came in, that show did do pretty good,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I still had. I
It's
don't
like
like to
that.
just sell everything all at once either.
Yeah, you want to like spread them out, right?
Yeah.
Because like, kind of like if you talk apparel, right? Like there's
Yeah.
only 10 people that wears large in this
Yeah.
show, and if you have 100, you don't want to keep pushing because at the end of the day, like, everybody that wanted a large already bought one. I
Exactly.
think that's the trait of a good live show seller.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like you gotta memorize their size. It's like, oh, Glenn's here, he wears a medium. Oh, Anna's here, he wears... And I was like, oh, crap. Like, oh, like, Ken's here, he wears a, medium. Like, when we find a medium, right? Like, because we used to do that, but I feel like you gotta do that. So, So the
what are you
higher
not doing?
cost of goods didn't do well.
Like the higher cost of goods on, like you said, what it was apparel,
Okay.
didn't really do that great. I think the first show did good, but as like as I went down the line
Yeah.
week after week, I only did enough for like a good month's worth to try it out.
Okay.
And I already knew that I spent more than I probably should. I was like, well, it wasn't too much, but it wasn't too low. It was like that
Yeah.
mid range. Is like.
It was
If
like
it's
a man.
profitable,
Right.
Let's keep going. If it's not,
like-
well, we have to try it. We don't know until we do
Yeah.
it.
Right.
And so the first one did good, and then the other 3 shows after that, you just see them kind of go lower and lower. And also they take so much more time to ship apparel compared to hats. My hat system is already so much locked
See,
down
that's
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the
that
thing.
like I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Like I can do 150 hats. And
Your
I'm done.
elves are trained
But it's
with
like
hats.
gotta
Yeah.
be worth the extra effort. Yeah, like
Yeah,
if you were making
exactly.
bank on it, maybe. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true too. Like every business gotta be able to like audit the profit per item or however one of metrics you want to see it and be
Yeah.
real about it. It's like, hey, as much as I like this product, right? Personally, I like this, but it just doesn't bring,
Yeah.
it just doesn't bring value back, right?
Well, that's kind of how I felt about live selling. Like, I think, okay, there's obviously a learning curve. There's
Yeah.
a skill set. There's equipment involved. And not to mention, like, building an audience, right? But,
Yeah.
like, I tried it, gave it the old college try. I liked a lot of things about it, but I didn't really make money. So I was like, I don't know if this is for me at this moment in time. I think I
Right.
probably need different inventory than what I was trying to sell.
You needed to smile more. That's what it
I
was.
definitely needed to smile more. Oh my gosh. No. But it was like, I could see where it is such a cool thing and it's a great fit for some people. But I do think at this juncture anyway, the platform I was selling on with live selling, the type of inventory I was trying to sell was just not really selling.
Not it, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, and I know like that inventory sells perfectly fine, like listed as normal on eBay. So I'm like, okay, that's not the venue for that. So I may try it again in the future, but yeah, I'm not. That wasn't even my answer, but that's one I'm not planning on taking with me from this year.
Okay.
So what else was your supposed to be answer? Let's hear about it.
The answer that made me think of this question in the first place was, I'm not moving again. That's the thing I'm not doing in
2 years in a
2025.
row, she's moved, right?
Not doing that again.
Not doing it again. Can't make me. No, not
Can't.
moving.
I won't.
I just can't even tell you how disruptive it is to move
I bet.
your whole inventory, even just down the
man.
street. Oh my gosh. But what about you, Ken? What are you not doing?
I'm not gonna be sitting at the side of the beach
Under the
a
coconut tree.
coconut tree waiting for a big wave. I'm gonna leave
You're
that
gonna be
behind.
making waves.
Exactly. I was gonna say that.
Were
Man,
you?
come on.
Sorry, I stepped on
I was
your
gonna
line.
say that.
I didn't know you were actually.
You
gonna
know,
say it.
I'm gonna be
So cheesy.
cannonballing. I mean, like the waves, like the ocean is so unpredictable. Let me go back to the jacuzzi or the hot tub and then just do cannonballs there and make my own wave.
Right? Come
Um,
on.
But at the same time, too, I would leave the inconsistency of me going to find opportunity behind. yeah, I wasn't going out and getting it.
Like
A
some of the
hustler
time
hack
you just
with
weren't
it.
looking, right?
No,
Like,
oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't even walk in the store because like there are places where I walk in and people will be like, "Hey, we got this. You want to buy this? You're gonna
Yeah.
make $100 on it." Like that. Like, but all it took was you to get off my butt and go in,
go show up there.
go show up, right? And
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you regret it from
No,
this year?
I don't, because I used that time
Otherwise, yeah.
as in a different way, right? Like I used that time to work out, and to be honest with you, like I was like half a day I was sore because I was just so out of shape or round in shape that
The shape was round.
the shape
The
was
shape
round.
you were in was round.
Yeah,
LOL.
like the workouts were beating the crap out of me. And it's just, like I just felt like unhealthy, and just like, and it translated to like the mentality of like getting tired. And I mean, you guys know me, like I like to think a lot, but I felt like the more every time I'm thinking, I get tired so quick. But now I could just go off way, like I guess it correlates, right? Like your physical health,
Like your
correlates with
stamina and
with your
energy,
your
everything.
emotion, right? Like imagine if you're tired all the time, and then Glenn comes in like, "Hey, Glenn, like you want to brainstorm?" I'm like, "Oh, like I'm like, oh, like
There's your answer, Glenn.
I was like, oh, are we going to a buffet? Like, are we going, like, does it come with a donut or something like that, right? But that's kind of like what I want to leave. I definitely want to leave the inconsistency of seeking out opportunity, because it's not like I haven't done it, right? It was just kind of like an off year, to just kind of do something else. So it was just kind of like a major reset in health.
Yeah.
That kind of like paused the buzzing around at hustle B, going out and get it, driving around, to a point that I'm gonna tell you my 2025 plans next episode.
Well, I was gonna say, like, good segue also into the outside of business side of things, but to me, like, what I was thinking when you were just talking about that is like, so now the challenge is going to be, how do you go out and get it and stay in shape and not lose the ground that you gained, right? In your personal side
We'd
of
have
your
to
life.
ask Glenn. We'd have to ask Glenn because he's there.
Because he's already doing it.
That's exactly
We just want to be Glenn when we grow up. That's
No.
really what this whole podcast is.
Yeah, we still can grow up to Glenn because he's definitely not the youngest.
Rude.
You still work your way.
Yeah.
Another year
Spoken like
older
a
next
true
month.
baby. Okay, Glenn, what about your otherwise side of life that's not the business?
Not business. So
Or are you just
Having-
all business? I
No,
mean,
no.
Oh.
So having
I'm just
another
kidding.
child is still a goal of mine. We tried. It didn't happen for me and the wife, so we are not giving up on that. But hopefully next year that's something we could try again.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You have to just go in an open mind. You never know whether things are gonna happen or not happen. But even with trying to have the second one, we always had that in mind too. Like, or even having our first child, like anything could happen. You have to be prepared for anything. You always want to stay positive that everything comes out great and everything works out. But you also have to be realistic. And so,
there
that's
could
what we
be real
did.
challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anything can happen. So, personally, I guess that's something that I do still want to do, and we'll try again and see what happens.
Yeah.
2025.
Awesome. Love that.
What about you guys? Non-business. Health, physical, mental,
Yeah.
anything.
I would say I want to get back into reading again. I've listened to a lot of podcasts this year just because like we're like on a podcast phase, and just kind of like expand your knowledge to not technically just business, right? Like I want to listen to like how people create their lifestyle, how people find happiness, and how people optimize their their time with balancing. I almost said balancing.
Oh, how
but
dare you?
It's rhythm,
how
Ken.
dare
It's rhythm,
you.
not balance.
You know,
We've already
finding a
established this.
rhythm that works for them. I think I've gotten to a point too that I've definitely shaken off the kind of like the worry of like, oh, I wonder what they would think about this decision. Like I'm past that.
Stop caring what people think.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like everybody has that in a way, but I think last year I was able to shake that off
Yeah. Yeah.
heavily. I was like, I'm doing me. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
I want to get to a point where I'm Snoop Dogg. Like I want to thank myself. I want to thank me. I want to thank me for waking up early. I want to thank me for working out. But that's just kind of like, because I think I have come to a point that as much as things happen in life that are out of your control, people forget that there are a lot of things that we can control. So I want to spend my energy on that. So part of that was like, picking up book again. We might have our Seller Club podcast might
Book
pick up
club.
a book club.
I actually love that idea. I love bringing ideas from other like interdisciplinary ideas into the
100%,
conversation.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's just cool, and I feel like it's fresh.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of good things that we can do to our business and in our physical health and stuff like that. But if you do it over and over again for too long, I mean, we might be Tom Brady, but there's only one Tom Brady. There's only one Glenn. It's like, so we gotta mix it up a little bit and add some, some sprinkles in there. So that's kind of like my goal. Just to kind of like switch it up, like keep switching it up on the other things, but like keep like 3 or 4 things like consistent. And yeah.
I'm saving all of my next year thoughts for next episode.
Yeah, I don't know. Why did I lead on to that? But
I don't know. Well, because Glenn asked you, but you kind of already talked about this year of like your health journey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny if anybody listening has been listening throughout the year, like they've heard us talk about all of these things. Which is kind
that's
of
true.
Cool.
Yeah, it's not like it's just a.
They've
recap,
heard me
right?
constantly whinge about moving. They've heard you constantly talk about working out.
Yeah.
And Glenn constantly talk about just crushing it.
No.
Are you Glenn? Quick question.
Huh?
Are you thinking about moving into a bigger space?
No, not at the
Not really.
moment.
Oh yeah, Glenn paying off his house.
Yeah,
That was a big
Yeah.
personal one,
Yeah.
Glenn.
Yeah, that was a big personal one that I didn't even talk about yet.
Yeah.
That is
So like,
true.
oh yeah, that was
It's like,
yesterday's news.
yeah.
Over it.
Like,
I
now that you don't
want
have
to-
debt, do you want more debt?
I know, right?
Yeah.
That was a question that I've been asked too. Like, okay, so you have a little storage unit, but why not have like something that you could run the whatnot and
Yeah.
your inventory all in
Yeah.
one and all of that? But I don't know. It just doesn't seem. I kind of like being here too, to where like I can,
Go
still
to-
be
yeah.
here with the family.
Yeah.
and
You're
storage
like-
unit down the street. Like I don't have
Yeah.
to go very far.
Can you build a storage unit in your backyard?
I was just
That
gonna
means I have to take
say,
down the basketball court, but
oh, my friend.
You can do half court.
true.
You don't run
Half
anymore. You're not getting younger.
court. That's true.
My friend Taylor Hughes, who's like an amazing magician, he has his own specials and everything. He's like awesome. If you've never heard
Okay.
of him, go look him up. But anyway, he has a shed. He lives in California, I think, somewhere expensive on the West
Yeah.
Coast, and he has a shed that he calls the shed quarters because it's like where he does like podcasting and all kinds of stuff. But he like built out this space inside of a shed. But you could have a shed quarters. You could
Right,
have
Glenn,
live
you could-
streaming shed quarters.
Yeah, Glenn, you could literally go to Home Depot and buy it. It's like, hey, I want that. Like
this
those
one.
things. Those things are big. They even have lofts
They
inside.
are
I've
big.
seen it. Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
10 grand, 12 grand, or something like that already built, and you already have a concrete pad. Just put it on top of your concrete pad.
Yeah, you could put
There we
all
go.
the hats in the loft and then your live stream space in the bottom.
Oh, bro. We'll even
If
help
you do that, we'll
I'll
come
help
help
you
you.
paint it. I'll help you paint it. We'll go there and help you set it up if you
Okay.
decide on doing
I
that.
like that. It'd be like
You
a
could have a
common
group
hacks
project.
wealth picker. With a little
I hope Kevin hears this.
I'll have my nice shed.
I totally
I'll have all
forgot.
my
He
stuff.
also has a shed.
Yeah,
I
that
just
is
think about
true.
Taylor's because
Um,
he calls it the World Shed Quarters, and I think it's great.
That is so funny though, right?
Yeah, duh. Sorry, Kevin, if you
We're
are
just
listening.
literally just ripping off Kevin right here.
I just have my own shed. Yeah, that's exactly what they got, which is pretty cool though because it's just on your actual property.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't
I mean,
have to go
the
anywhere to do
convenience, right?
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you're in El Paso. You can't go dig under. It's all sand. You can't have
it's
basements.
all sand, it's all dirt.
So,
you get
yeah.
sand in your eyes. You don't
Yeah.
want that.
Yeah, that is so
Ow.
true.
Ouch.
Dude, your backyard is it like a full size court?
It's like a mini court. It's not.
Is
really
it like a
full-
3/4,
full
right?
size.
Like 3/4?
Yeah, I'd probably say. Or
Yeah, so that's still pretty big.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
How is this like the first time I'm hearing about you having a basketball?
Oh, so
court in your
funny story, right? Like this is my side. And Glenn never told me this. I've never been to his house. And I think
You're
when,
just a stalker.
no, I think it's when they got dogs that I saw footage of like the backyard with dogs,
Oh.
right?
Mm.
And this was just, like I picture Arizona desert, right? And your backyard was just pretty much sand or dirt, right?
Yeah,
You didn't do anything in your backyard. You didn't put grass. Did you put grass at all? No.
No, nothing.
Yeah, it was just like dirt. And the next thing you know, this guy had like contractors pouring like concrete, like giant hoses pouring concrete in there. And I'm like, this guy's really picking a basketball court in the back. It's like, yeah, it's like, what made you do that? By the way, was it always the plan still? Well, like that's why you didn't do anything to it.
That was the plan. We just didn't know when. And also when I was gonna have the money to kind of do that.
Yeah.
But I was getting tired of like
The
the
dust.
sand, the
Yeah.
weeds, like random bugs, like crazy looking bugs
Ugh.
living in there. And I was
No,
like,
thank
no.
you.
And even the wife too was like, we can't have this. Like this is just like,
Yeah.
you know, you have to constantly be maintaining it. And then now with the basketball court, well, there's no maintenance. It's just
Dude,
all
you should
concrete.
see my small patch of yard. It's all weeds.
You can see, nobody wants to be dealing with that.
Yeah, I know. You
Yeah.
don't got time for that.
Yeah, exactly. So that helped kind of eliminate all of that
Yeah,
extra
yeah.
stuff in there, and so
So now I put a storage there.
yeah,
Hey,
so
we should just make it a indoor court.
that would be cool.
You could have like a walking track, elevated walking
Make it
track
an
above
indoor
the court.
court. Make it indoors, and then have just like a rolling set that goes in there when you go live, and then just on your one side of it. you're
I
just
mean,
gonna
it
have
would be really
storage.
cool to do a live show from a court as well.
Yeah, but not in like
do
a
it.
200-degree weather outside.
Well, it's inside now,
melt.
Ken.
Oh yeah. I no. I thought like now
don't
before
know.
you do it.
You don't have to disguise it. Just let it be a basketball court. That's cool.
Ah, that is true. That would be the theme, right? Like a basketball. Glenn, you need to call up your contractor again. Like, hey,
I know. You have to get. Did you know you have to get like a whole permission from the city to
Oh,
do
I'm
something
sure.
like that? Oh,
Permits,
yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
That's why you buy the shed from Home Depot, because it's technically a non-permanent structure, and
Yeah,
you
it's a
don't have to get a
non-permanent.
permit for that.
yeah, you just plop it in there.
Yeah, that's the whole
Good.
thing.
Yeah, you show like, oh, I just bought it. It's like a dollhouse, right? They can't tell
It's
you.
like
to-
a dollhouse.
Yeah, it's a giant.
not a
it's
good
like
selling
elf.
point,
It's
Kat.
like a elf house.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
this
pretty
is-
cool. Shed quarters. Go ahead, Glenn.
Oh. Well, also with staying in 2024 apparently, which is kind of random news. Sorry to just throw that out there, but I'm just kind of thinking about it because I saw it earlier. It was that Party City was going out of business. Now, Party
Oh.
City is going to close every location.
I
No.
saw that. I was
Halloween
getting a haircut, and I
costumes.
was like,
Yeah.
Go buy them all.
Go buy them all. And
Wow,
so-
really?
Yeah.
And
Oh.
so I know there's been a lot of talk on, which does involve us with reselling because of the market and things like
Yeah.
that. But you know, Big Lots have announced earlier that they were, you know, early in 2024 too, that they were closing quite a bit of stores and locations.
yeah.
Yeah.
Foot Locker did that too, right?
Foot Locker did that too. I think Macy's was also kind of struggling too. I think they were also closing stores, but
That's wild.
I guess like in a 2024 recap as well, I think we're seeing a lot more of like the stores that either they're not making it at all because of the competition when you're talking about
The online
really
sales,
eBay
right?
and Amazon, like
Yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about
Just like-
Amazon,
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
Amazon
online sellers and even Walmart third party too.
bro.
But what's kind of crazy though, when you're looking at like big box retailers, like Costco is killing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Dude.
Costco's killing. Spirit Halloween is killing it on
Is
just
it?
going into stores and leaving when they're done. Like,
Yeah,
Yo,
it's like temporary.
once I turn
without
40,
all the
my
overhead.
once I turn
Yeah.
40, my gift for myself is a Costco membership. I think
it
the
happen.
cool dads go there.
They do.
Yes, they
Huh?
totally do.
they do.
Cool dads.
Everything
cool
they buy
mom.
is Kirkland signature.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the Costco
yeah, and they
brand.
always have like the chocolate covered almonds. Everybody has
Yep.
that in the Kirkland
The
brand.
hot dogs.
And the hot
Yeah.
dog, right? See,
But
I'm just
what-
saying. Yeah, it is crazy though. Like there are a bunch of interesting research right across different generations. Like what are kind of the important salient factors to different generations about shopping? And I think that for some generations, perhaps especially trending towards the older the generation, the more this is true. People want to go and see something in person and store and touch it, and
Right.
decide
At
if they
least
want to buy
food
it.
items, right? Like I still can't do like like I can still do like the full online on food because like
Oh,
I
totally
do,
can.
You do it right, like I do
Yeah.
pick up and stuff like that, but I feel like you've seen my jungle gyms. I go in there,
Yeah,
touch
jungle.
the mango.
Well, you're spoiled. Not everyone has jungle
touch-
gyms.
That is true. That is
Jungle
true.
Gyms is the best.
Yeah,
Please
yeah,
sponsor our podcast, Jungle Gyms. But then on the other hand, like seriously, can you beat the convenience of having it delivered to your door? For,
No, I
like,
agree.
for
Like-
quote unquote free if you're a
Yeah,
member
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
what, you know what I mean? Like I feel like at some point convenience is just going to outweigh so many of those other values that people have that, and maybe that's kind of even if those retail locations have the option of like
Shipping out or
curbside
something.
pickup or
Yeah.
something, and it's
I-
like, well, if you're gonna have to drive there, you might
Yeah.
as well go in and get it.
Is it me, or I don't think curbside pickup works unless it's like drive-through food.
I think it's fine if you're like in a certain phase of life. Like if you have a toddler and
Oh,
you're
in
doing
the
your
back,
family
right? You don't wanna
groceries
do-
and all your stuff, and all you have to do is pull up with them in the car seat, that's amazing.
Glenn, do you do curbside?
I don't, but I see they built like this huge like thing at our closest Target to where
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's all under like some
Like
I
an
don't know.
awning or something.
yeah to
Yeah.
where like all those cars pull up and it's just
Yeah,
easy.
JC does. I think Target's a good
Yeah.
like curbside because that way you don't have to spend $100 more on random things.
Well, right. It's like you stick to your budget, right? You do save a ton. And for me, I save a ton of time not walking around the giant store with like a big box.
because you
store
don't
like
know
that.
where everything's at, right? You don't go there often
Yeah.
enough to memorize everything.
But if you're
so-
just
Yeah.
well, I do, but yeah. If you just like are buying like one or two things, it's not like curbside doesn't seem like as worth it unless you're just like really crunched for time or something. But if you're doing like here's the weekly grocery pickup or something, that's different. That actually does save you a ton of time. So, a store like Party City, I don't know if they had curbside pickup or anything like that, but like I don't know. I feel like there's only so much that they can do to kind of have some kind of a convenience offer
Yeah.
that in any way competes with like Prime shipping. Like
Yeah,
how do you
yeah.
compete with that?
I would say that also what's helping Costco and even like Ross, Burlington, Marshalls is the social media part of it.
Yeah.
Costco is insane.
You're welcome, Ross. That's what you're saying.
You're
yeah, yeah.
On
All credits
YouTube?
to us for has
Man, TikTok, like
Yeah.
Costco is insane. People are like, "Oh, look at this," or like some stores don't have certain things.
Oh,
And that's
yeah.
what Ross and Burlington bring people in because it's like the thrill of
it's
the
like-
hunt.
There's
It's a
still a
treasure
third,
hunt,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the
Right.
Trader Joe's thing, right? Like the Trader
Yeah.
Joe's, like if they feature like a new flavor or something
That's
like that,
true, too.
everybody.
Yeah, Trader
do
Joe's is
you-
good too.
Is it because Costco let people film? I have seen so many like comparison video, and they're just like randomly filming there. I was like, is it a company policy that they just let people film? Because you know how like
probably.
people just grab stuff from the fridge. I was like, this one has 5 grams of sugar, and I was like, you should get this instead. And I'm like we get kicked out if we did that at Nike.
Would you?
Oh yeah, Glenn's been kicked out a lot.
Yeah, they told me like I forgot what city we were in
For
but
filming?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for recording.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It just depends on the manager,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
store,
yeah.
the ego.
Yeah, honestly.
They just they just don't know Glenn yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm doing you a favor, okay?
Yeah.
But also, I guess before we end this,
Yeah.
also in 2024, I mean, TikTok could stay in 2024.
No.
It is.
Or
We have
get
like 2
banned.
weeks into 2025 if it gets banned or not.
Oh,
Which is
true.
also gonna lead into something totally different on social media and where
Yeah.
people are gonna
It'll be
get
TikTok.
Yeah.
on where they're
just
gonna get
come
their
up.
info, their social media,
Dude,
what they're gonna do. So I don't know.
Why?
Things could
Why?
change. We'll see.
They could.
I guess to end, why does nobody start a TikTok-ish based out of the U.S.?
I think there is like 2 or 3 of them actually. I forgot what their names
Ken
are.
just
though.
hasn't heard
Like
of them.
Snapchat, Instagram.
Yeah, there's some
They're-
other ones.
I don't know
forgot the
why they're
names
just
were.
not as popular.
No, they're not as popular at all.
I don't
Not
know
even
what
close.
they've done wrong. Like, how can TikTok just come in here and just take the whole country by storm? And there's this few tech companies. Do you think they just got lazy? It's like, oh, we own this, and next thing you know, TikTok comes in and it's like, no, I own y'all.
I don't know. It's
So,
just one of the
lesson of the
waves and
story.
just ride it out and just
Ah, they
keeps
saw
building up.
another wave.
Took
man.
advantage.
It's the wave.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to pull a cheese ball move and pick up on that language of wave and say, as we wave goodbye to
Bye.
2024.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. We just want to say thank you, actually, one more time to everybody who's
Yep.
been listening, following along with us on the podcast, who's shared, subscribed, liked, whatever, reviewed us. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And also, thanks for being our reseller community or our online seller e-commerce community. And big thanks to our sponsors, of course, as per usual, eBay.
Thank you.
And we will continue to bring a bunch of cool updates about eBay in 2025. More on that later. But they've been an awesome partner with us this year. It's just been so cool to work with
I
them
think
closely.
to talk with eBay a little bit more, Anna, it's like, like without eBay, like it would have been it wouldn't be possible for us to give away all this extravagant gifts. We gave away iPads, we gave away MacBooks, we gave away like uber tons of gift cards and swags.
So much fun
swags that
swag.
you could only get, when you attend an in-person event that we were able to get our hands of, that we were able to distribute, and also not to mention we did the first ever podcast collab merch with eBay, and they allowed us to do that. And make sure you follow us on Instagram because we are still doing
giveaways
daily
through the end of the
giveaways.
year,
We've
yeah.
already had like 4 days that we're giving away. If you're listening to this, there's gonna be way more, and we're gonna end the year with a bang. So make sure you follow eBay for Sellers on Instagram. Show them some love. They are really the best.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And then also our other sponsor, Seller Ledger, they have so much stuff coming down the pipeline. We love their product. We use it. Me and Ken both use it for our bookkeeping. It's amazing. But they are actually, we were just talking to them about plans for 25, and they're making a big push to be more friendly for accountants. So like they're going to have more kind of full accounting features, but not as complex as some other softwares are. So don't worry, still going to be super easy to use, but it's just really cool, some of the stuff they're working on. And if you're a consignment seller, they're still calling for testers for a consignment feature that they're working on. And we're going to be adding a link in our show notes also. If you are a Seller Ledger user already, they now have a testimonial form that you can fill out. That kind of just tells your experience using their product. Give them a shout, and you can upload your logo and stuff too, so that they can feature your testimonial and feature your brand basically on their website. So go check that out if you're using it. I already did mine because I have genuinely just loved using their product. It's so good. I'm so excited to do my taxes, which sounds so nerdy, but it's true. It's really been a huge game changer for me this year. And that's why I love shouting it from the rooftops, because I think it's going to help so many people just not be stressed about that part of their business. But definitely check them all out. And we will have updates about all of those, all of our sponsors, ourselves, our podcast, our businesses, our personal lives. I'll give you updates about my kitten, Goosey, whatever you want to hear updates about for 2025. We're going to be diving into that like all the way into the details in our next episode to kick off the brand new year we're about to find ourselves in. So thanks again from the Seller Club podcast.
Alrighty, see y'all. Peace.
See ya.
Bye.